In this video, I'm going to be talking in step by step how I went from a C to A star in A levels business in less than a month. And let me tell you that this is possible. I was only reading for about 2 hours every single day, specifically on business, because I had other A levels as well. I did maths, I did economics, accounting. And if I can do this, you can do this, given that you follow the exact system that I'm going to lay over in front of you. Again, it is not easy, but if you just follow the system, it is not that difficult either. So without further delay, let's just get right on to the first step. The first step is going through the book at least once and just seeing all of the content that is available in the book. The reason I got a C the first time is because I did not go through the book enough. What you need to know about A-levels business is just memorizing a definition is not gonna get you the full marks. Yeah, obviously it's gonna get you the marks in those 1 marker and 2 markers, but when you have to write essays, 8 marks, 12 marks, 20 marks, you have to be able to understand the concept in a fundamental level so that you can then transfer all of your knowledge into that essay. What this means is you just are not gonna cut it by knowing the definition of a concept. You need to know exactly what that concept is, how it applies to different business scenarios. You need to try to look at the case study and try to relate it with that concept. You need to know all of the advantages, all of the disadvantages of that particular concept, and you gotta be able to make connection between multiple concepts and you gotta bring them together and present it to the examiner. This will only be possible when you understand the concept deeply. So you need to go through content at least once. The way I went through content was I tried reading the definitions of the book and I went line by line. If I would understand the definition, cool, I'll go to the next one. If I did not understand the definition or I was struggling with grasping a concept, I would go onto Google, I would go onto YouTube, I would find other resources and then try to learn as much as possible from those other resources. Sometimes what happens is when you're going on other different resources, you might stumble upon new ideas that will still gonna be helpful in your business essays. So please go through the content at least once. It does not take that long. You can go through, chapter by chapter, day by day. It's really easy and you will be able to, write your essays much more better and get better marks. Step number 2 is gonna be revising every single day with flashcards. This was a cheat code. This really was a cheat code because I kept forgetting content in my business exams. I remember the first year when I was giving my exams, I would see some questions and I would be like, shit, no, I went through this. I know that I've seen this, but I would just not be able to retrieve that from the back of my mind and not put it down in my essay. And because at that time, I had gone through some content, but I hadn't really revised. So year 2, what I did was I made flashcards. I would make flashcards. I would wake up first thing in the morning and drink my black coffee with flashcards. And because of the spaced repetition and everything, it really helps you understand the concept much more and remember the concept much more. In A-levels business, there is so much concept that you gotta remember. And if you're doing economics, if you're doing accounting, some of these concepts will be much easier to learn for you. But if you're not doing those subjects, this just means there is more content that you need to memorize. And flashcards are a great way. Similarly, I also made some cheat sheets that really helped in my essays. What I did was I wrote down every single evaluative points, every single what's the right word? I forget the right word. Every single points from a particular chapter, and I wrote down the advantages of it, disadvantages of it, and I would go through that cheat sheet sometimes, and my mind will be refreshed with that new information. Right? And if you want access to all of my flashcards, all of my cheat sheets, and a community where we discuss about A-level business and get you the best grades, you can click the first link in the description. So just go through your flashcards. It doesn't have to be mine. You can make it on your own. The way I was making flashcards was, I was going through the book. I combined the first step and the second step. I was going through the book one by one, line by line, and on the side, I was making flashcards as I was going. And again, I revised flashcards every single day. Number 3 step is gonna be understanding the mark scheme and understanding what the examiner wants from you. A really good way to do this is to look at example candidate response. That document is a cheat code because, number 1, it will give you a high marking essay and the examiner will literally tell you why that person got a high mark. And similarly, they'll also give you a low marking essay and also tell you what the low marking essay could have improved upon. And at the end of every document, there is a little note from the examiner basically outlining how people that gave the exams could have gotten more marks, like how they could have wrote their answer more better and got more marks. Exams is basically pleasing the examiner. You just have to give the examiner what they are looking for. So if you go through example candidate responses and understand their response and try to figure out what they want, you will be able to write the essays that follow those certain patterns. Similarly, understanding the mark scheme, you need to know exactly what you're writing is going to give you what kind of marks. So you need to know the certain thing that you're writing on your essay. Is it giving you knowledge and understanding marks? Is it giving you application, analysis, evaluation? You need to know that. Only when you know that, you will be able to write better 12-mark essays and 20-mark essays. 8-mark essays are really easy to write. Some of those 5-mark questions, not essays, but like 5-mark questions, really easy to write. But 12 and the 20 marker, this is where you're gonna get confused as fuck, and you need to be able to just, as you're writing the answer down, you need to be able to know if you're writing it for an application, analysis, or evaluation, and you just need to know the mark scheme at the back of your head to be able to write better essays. So please understand the mark scheme. Bro, I religiously read mark schemes. I made a document which was basically a title, writing essays, and I would write down the notes that I got from example candidate responses, examiner's report, and just basically I would write everything down, and like even with my own essays, I'd show it to my teacher, and any feedback that they gave me, I would write those feedback on that document, and every single time before writing the next essay, I would refer to that document and basically try to write an essay that is much more better than the last one. Number 4 is going to be essay planning, writing, and marking. You need to be planning your essays. If you're just, closing your eyes and holding a pen and going through, just start writing when you see a question, you are doing it wrong. You need to plan your essay. I even planned for the 8 markers. What I would do was I would try to figure out what the question was exactly asking. Then I would try to list down some of the concepts that would go hand in hand, or that would relate to the question that they have provided. And then I would be basically writing a small kind of structure which I was going to follow. And because I would write that structure, I would be able to just go through, just write my answers as fast as possible. The initial 5 minutes that took me to plan an essay would probably save me 10 minutes in a 20 marker, because I knew exactly what I was gonna write, and I did not have to really stop and think as I was writing the essay. As I was writing the essay, I could just go on my pace, I would finish on time, and because I would have thought about everything at the first 5 minutes, there was really low chances of me missing things. So this really helps you for the 20 markers and 12 markers. It also will help you for the 8 markers as well. What I used to do next is I used to try to mark my own essays. So I would get the mark scheme and try to see where I would get marks, where I would not get marks. And that basically made me understand the mark scheme even further. Yes, my marking was not accurate, but it got kind of accurate until the last phases of my study. I would send my I'll send my essay to my teachers, have them mark for me, and I'll also mark it myself. And at the end, I was marking almost the exact same as my teachers were marking. So in a way, I was the examiner, right? I knew what the examiners were looking for, and as a result, I was able to write better essays. So these are the 4 things. Number 1, going through the content. Number 2, spaced repetition, making flashcards and revising them daily. Number 3, understanding the mark scheme and understanding how to write essays. Number 4, essay planning, writing, and marking. If you can do this 4, if you can constantly consult a business teacher or somebody that excels at business back and forth and try to learn as much as possible, you will improve your business grade, because I did. Once again, the link to my community will be first in the description. There is so many study resources, and we will be having classes every single week to clear all of your doubts. So please join that, and yeah, I wish you all the best for your exams, and I see you in the next